Join us for the Fanatical Prospecting Bootcamp that will help your team 5x their pipeline in 90 days or less. We'll be hosting it on March 10th and 11th in Atlanta, Georgia. Go to salesgravy.com/live. That's salesgravy.com/live and use the code podcast to save $100.
This is Jeb Blunt, and it's Money Monday on the Sales Gravy Podcast.
Say, make money, money, make money, money, money. Make money, money, make money, money, money. Money makes the world go round. I'm the talk around town. Remy gave me the sound.
All right, what's up, everybody? It is Monday, but it's not just any Monday. This is the first Monday of the second month of the year. And with the first month behind us, it's time to stop for a gut check. First, we need to check where we are against our goals and our resolutions from the beginning of the year. And next, we need to take stock of our first month's sales performance and make adjustments so that we go into the next month stronger. Now, we're just a little bit more than 30 days away from our new year intentions, resolutions, and goals. A month ago, we set out into the new year. We had hope, we had ambition that this year would be our best ever and that we'd make positive and lasting changes in our lives. But the truth is, the farther away we get from our intentions, the more likely it is that we slip on our discipline and we get off track. And it's just human nature to do that. Now, you'll remember that discipline means sacrificing what you want now for what you want most. But as time goes by, sticking with new habits gets more challenging because it's easy to forget what motivated us to make the changes in the first place. It's easy to let down our guard and go back to our comfort zone. For example, let's say that you kicked off the new year and you were determined to have your best sales year ever. You set big income goals. You had big dreams about what you were going to buy with the money that you made this year from your big commission checks. But you knew that that meant that you were going to have to keep the pipeline full and you were going to have to get fanatical about prospecting every single day. But during this gut check, you look back and you realize that days have passed and you hadn't picked up the phone, you hadn't swung a door open, and you hadn't talked to any customers. And what you realize upon reflection is that you made a lot of excuses to avoid the very activities that would move you closer to the goals that you decided that you wanted at the beginning of the year. And I'll admit that it's happened to me just this past week. This month has been nonstop travel. I was on 12 airplanes, 10 cities. I did 8 keynotes, and I did 5 full days of training delivery to sales teams. And toward the end of the week, last week, I got tired and I started making excuses, and I let my exercise and my nutrition routine slide. One day, I didn't exercise and I ate pancakes, and then I did it again. Now, this was something that I promised myself that I wouldn't do when the year started. But sometimes discipline slips. It's just the way things work. But I know that right now, if I stop what I'm doing, if I look in the mirror and I recommit to my goals, that I'll get back on track. And if I don't do that, I'll continue down this negative path because it's really easy not to work out and to eat pancakes. So it's time for us all to look in the mirror and do this gut check. It's time to revisit our goals and our resolutions. I want you to pause and carve out time today, not tomorrow, today, to revisit your goals and resolutions from the beginning of the year. I want you to sit down and think about what you decided to achieve back in early January. I want you to visualize what it was that motivated you. And I want you to picture what you want most and where you want to be at the end of the year. This is also a good time to go back and re-listen to the Money Monday episodes on building a personal business plan, on reflection versus regret, and on why personal goals are so essential for sales discipline. Then make a recommitment to those goals. Remember the feelings you had when you set them and make an intentional decision to get back on track. Now, once you've done that gut check, I want you to step back and evaluate your first month's sales performance. Typically, you'll find yourself in one of 3 scenarios. 1, you crushed it. You had a killer month and you blew your goals out of the water. 2, you were average. You were mediocre. You hit your quota. You did okay, but you know you're capable of doing much more. Or 3, you bombed. You missed your number. You missed your quota, and you're in bad shape as you go into February. Now, if you crushed it, if you're at the top of the ranking report, that's fantastic. Congratulations. But I want you to be very careful not to let your foot off the gas. it's likely that you worked very hard last month and that there will be the temptation to take a breather. If you do, this complacency will come back to bite you. Now is the time to recommit to doing the activity that fueled your success last month so you don't end up with a lackluster February or a disastrous March. In other words, you've set the foundation for a huge year. Take advantage of what you've accomplished and keep the pedal to the metal. Now, if you had an average or a just okay month, maybe you hit quota or maybe you came close to quota, but you know you've got more in the tank, it's time for some honest self-reflection. Ask yourself, what held you back from greatness? What could you have done differently to blow away your number? Maybe you needed to prospect harder, or maybe you needed to push a little bit more on deals that were close to closing, or maybe your pipeline just wasn't big enough from the start and you ended up scrambling to make your numbers. Now, whatever the situation was, you haven't hurt yourself. You did okay, and you're still in a great position to have a good year. But you'll need to identify your performance gaps and plan to overcome them in February. This is a really good time to sit down with your coach or mentor, break down your performance, and get guidance on where you can make tweaks and get better. Now, if you don't have anyone to talk with and you feel like you need some help, you can get a coach on my team to help you. Go to salesgravy.com/coach. That's salesgravy.com/coach. If you bombed, if your month was downright awful, you're going to need to move fast to make adjustments, because getting behind the 8 ball at the beginning of the year isn't any fun, and you want to avoid chasing your tail for the rest of the year. The key here is taking positive action now. Rather than dwelling on the negatives, which is easy to do, pull your head up and start breaking down what happened. Did you have an empty pipeline so that you had nothing to close? That happens to a lot of salespeople in the first month of the year. If you want to fix this, go back and listen to the Empty Pipeline Money Monday episode from a few weeks ago and take those lessons and then double down on prospecting. Maybe you had a good pipeline and closable opportunities that simply pushed into this month. If you're in the situation, make sure you stay on top of them so that they don't vanish for good. And also make sure that you have the pipe to cover both last month and this month so that you're not solely depending on last month's leftovers. In some cases, you may have lost deals because you rushed the sales process, skipped discovery, or sold from a place of desperation because your pipeline was too thin. This may be a big clue that it's time to get back to the basics and the fundamentals of selling. Go take some courses on Sales Gravy University at learn.salesgravy.com and read or listen to books like Selling in a Crisis or Sales EQ that can help you dial in your sales process. But whether you crushed it, coasted, or crashed, the key to getting February off to a strong start is to recommit. It's to make the decision that I'm going to be better in February than I was in January. Look, we all slip, we all make mistakes, and we all allow our discipline to waver. But you have the power to step back into your positive intentions and do the daily work needed to achieve your goals. Before I wrap up, a quick shout out to the Luke Dalton, who left us an amazing 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. He said that the podcast delivers great real-world actionable information. Also, a big thank you to Nate Lowther, who posted this comment on LinkedIn. He says, I'm loving the podcast content in 2025. Y'all are doing a great job delivering value to the sales professionals who follow you. Thank you, Sales Gravy. Hey, thank you, Nate. We really appreciate you. And everybody, look, take 3 seconds. Go drop a 5-star rating on Spotify or Apple or YouTube or Amazon or wherever you listen to the podcast. And if you're listening on Spotify, drop a comment. I'm watching comments and I will respond to you. All right, that's it for this Money Monday Gut Check. Remember, take time right now to reflect on where you are, where you've been, and recommit to those goals that you set at the beginning of the year. And remember, when it's time to go home, when you're worn out, when you're tired, when you just want to quit grinding, always will yourself to make one more call. I'll see you next time on the Sales Gravy Podcast.
Survival of the fittest, you can sink or swim. I've been broke, I ain't never going back again. I need some C-notes, some cheddar, and a stack of ends. I need a bowl of dough, I don't need no Facebook friends. I need a pack of them snaps, a handful of Fetty Wops, and rubber band on my greenbacks. Look, dawg, don't be playing with my paper. I need every red cent, that's why I brought my little scraper. Money, 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 money.